in case we have audience here, because you mentioned some numbers, it seems like people can make money from this, right? What are the what are the things they need to do in case somebody is getting there and say, well, I want to make some money with donating egg or donating spermatozoa? How can they contact you and what do they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I like to tell people I'm not in the business of selling body parts because I consider it to body part. Normally, even if you're donating eggs, legally speaking, because there are some legal aspects to it, they won't pay you for the sperm you have donated or the egg you've donated. They will say they are just paying for your time, right? Because it's illegal to sell body parts and they consider human gametes to be body parts. I almost
Hmm.
thought about it of starting an egg bank in Africa because when I heard how much you sell 6 cases of egg for like 16,000 $16,000, right? And then sometimes they pay the donors, the actual donors in the United States, maybe not more than less than $10,000, right?
Hmm.
And it's not because of the fact that they got 6 eggs from that donor. They might get 20 eggs from one donor and split that 20 eggs into three or four. I mean, sometimes it could be as high as 30, 24 eggs. And so that means that from a case of 24 eggs you got from an egg donor, you could sell maybe up to $90,000 worth of eggs, right,
Hmm.
from that. So it was kind of like, wow, this is quite lucrative for some people. I still had conflict in my mind that I'm not sure I'm going that kind of business,
Yeah.
because even in Nigeria, they don't pay them that much. I mean, back in the days when I was working at one fertility clinic, maybe they paid egg donors 100,000 or, I
Hmm.
mean, high enough, maybe 150, 200,000. And then the IVF cycle, then I don't think it was up to a million back then, but it was, I mean, almost close. So the disparity with regards to payment or remuneration for those donors is low. I mean, the sperm donors are even worse. If you want to donate sperm, back then maybe they give you 1,000 naira for the sperm you have for the sperm you have donated. So I mean, in the United States too, sperm donors are, yeah, they don't pay them more than 1,000. I mean, they don't even pay them of that. The sperm itself, when they freeze and sell the sperm, you can't get a sperm via more than $1,000. I mean, that's the premium, most quality sperm, all right, expensive ones that you can get. So yeah, there is a market for it. I mean, some people donate their sperm, just to make some more money. Some students do that. But then the problem is when you start having, I mean, people using those DNA testing come like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA knocking on your doors in the future. I say, I think you're my father. You donated sperm to so and so in the past. And you have a couple of children that you don't know you had now trying to find you in the future. So you have to understand, the implications of that because I mean, in the near future, the world will be so interconnected that DNA would be like another social media that you can connect yourselves. You can tell who is really your relative, right, and who you are really connected to based on your genetics, and things like that. So, yeah, there are programs that recruit egg donors. Right? My clinic in the US, we have in-house egg donors. Some people actually, for instance, we have a program in my clinic whereby if there is a couple who cannot afford the IVF treatment, so they recommend to them that they can do a shared donor program whereby they can donate some eggs to a couple who can afford it, whereas that couple will not pay for their treatment cycle. So there are programs like that allow some people. I'm not sure they do that in Nigeria yet, but yes, there are, I mean, programs that recruit egg donors, but then they have to properly educate those egg donors. I mean, in some instances, they don't recruit an egg donor if they have not had a child of themselves by themselves before. Because you don't want a situation whereby, oh, someone has donated eggs and when it's time for them to start their own family and they cannot have, their own babies, then they start thinking, oh, I've donated to family before in the past. Of course, all those things are anonymous. You don't know who you have donated for in those programs, and it's legally. stated that you cannot lay claim to those biological materials anymore. All right, you've donated them. It's no longer yours. But then the new technologies of today still finds a way to locate people by their genealogy. So it's quite dicey. I mean, I'm not sure I want to go into an egg donor business or company. I almost tried starting in the past.
Mhm.
I talked to a reputable egg donor agency that, okay, we could actually have an egg bank in Africa and where we could actually help people, get their own eggs. But I just said, no, I don't think I'm interested in that. I would keep doing the science part of helping people to achieve consumption, right? Helping in the lab and things like that. But for it's money that I might be interested, maybe as a means to get additional income. I mean, I've had some students, I've had past students tell me that, oh, they've been an egg donor before. I asked them, how much did they pay? They pay me like $6,000. Now that's free money. But yeah, free money then, but then implication in the future, when those babies start looking for you, you want to deal with that? That's another thing. So, yeah, so it's possible as a means of income to some people, but then you have to know the downsides as well. You choose
Yeah.
to go
Mhm.
that route. Yeah.
So now that you share that, the implication of that, now we have to suspect people that are saying that they don't want to have kids. But then you said that people that don't have their kids, you guys don't deal with them, right? They don't donate because you have to have your kids first because before you can donate your egg, right? That's what you said, right?
That used to be the criteria in the past. They don't go by that anymore. Anybody who wants to donate, irrespective of whether you have had a child before or not. I mean, as long as you qualify, they'll do all those FDA testing for you, ensure that you don't have any infectious disease and things like that. By all means, they would recruit you to be a donor. I was saying that back in the days when the regulations were very stringent in Nigeria, that before they recruit an egg donor, it has to be someone who has preferably had a child before in the past, so that in the event that they want to start having a family in the future, they don't think that, oh, I donated egg, let me go get my eggs now, and go to
Yeah.
court and fight. But then it's not going to be possible anymore. So
Wow.
nowadays, I mean, there are some people who said, I don't even want to get married. I don't want to have babies. I have friends like that who say, I'm not interested in marriage. I could have my own child. I mean, we have single parents, like single ladies, single men, in fact, who come to our program or our clinic requesting to have babies. I mean, there's everybody is, I mean, entitled to a family as long as you've gone through the psychological assessment process and you know what you're going in for. Even single ladies can buy sperm from the sperm bank to make babies by IVF. Single men would get themselves egg donors and gestational carrier, right, to actually um, get themselves babies. They don't want to get married. They don't want the hassle and the stress of marriage. Some say they don't even want a baby, but they would rather just donate their eggs and their sperm as long as they're helping some couple to make babies. They're satisfied.
Wow.
I mean,
Well,
everyone
you
feels on. Yeah.
and you guys are not allowed to ask them why. You just do whatever they said they want, right?
No, I mean, we ask questions before you go into any, because you are medically bound by regulators. Like for you to even start an IVF clinic it's a stringent process. We have to pass our board exams first before we, the embryologists, can work. You have to be licensed by the state before you can work. The doctors, I mean, any OBGYN doctor has to pass their boards. And it's not just OBGYN doctors that work in IVF clinics. They have to be double board certified as also a reproductive endocrinologist dealing in infertility. Right. So we go through these hoops and stringent regulations so that we don't just indiscriminately, raise embryos or babies for cycles. So sometimes those people have to go through psychological evaluation. They have to go go through psychologists and therapists, assess their level of health, that they are of a sound mind, and they can actually take care of a child,
Hmm.
father a child, or mother a child, right? So, and that goes for those single parents who want to do that. So they make them go through some of those psych evaluations first before they are cleared to have an IVF program with us and things like that. At least that I know for some clinics that I work for. Sometimes we in the lab don't deal with all those extraneous events. We just let the clinical team deal with that. I mean, there are other departments that actually work on the fertility nurses, the medical assistants, and those other people. They deal with all those other sections that has to be passed before they now graduate to the level of we being able to raise and birth for them.